Hey there, TikTakers! We recently asked you in a previous video if you would like to see an origami tutorial here on the channel, and you unanimously decided that, yep, you do. Okay, there were some no's here and there, but you get the point. We didn't want to make you wait, so get ready to work with paper. Because you already know what origami is all about, right? No? Okay, if you don't, then don't worry. We'll go over it real quick. Origami is a technique that consists in folding paper to create shapes and figures without using any scissors or glue. The name comes from the Japanese term ori, which means to fold, and kami, which means paper. However, the practice itself originated in China around the 2nd century AD and arrived to Japan many years later, integrated into Japan's culture. Origami originated in ceremonies held by the nobility, given that back then paper was a luxury that not everyone could afford. Nowadays, origami has become so popular that an entire art was built around it. And the awesome thing is that you can create very complex figures such as dragons and unicorns. But don't worry, we're not starting with something so difficult. Instead, we'll get started with a beautiful butterfly and a jumping frog. We can build them in a few minutes with just a few sheets of paper. Are you ready, TikTakers? Then let's go for it! As we mentioned, the only materials we're going to need are a few sheets of paper. However, if your sheets are actually colored instead of just being plain white, your origami figures will end up looking even prettier. First, the butterfly. We'll need to use a sheet in the form of a square. It's usually better to use a small paper square, but we'll use a bigger one so you can see it better. Here's a trick you can follow to get your paper square. We fold diagonally an A4 sheet of paper so we can get our square. And then we fold the remainder of the sheet following the line that forms. Then we fold again on the other side, pressing our fold very well, and then we carefully tear out the remaining rectangle. At this point, you can use your scissors, but be very careful. Okay, now that we have our paper square, we turn it around and make 4 folds, 1 horizontally, 1 vertically, and 2 diagonally, so that the square is folded in all of its borders. We fold it in half once again and bring inwards one of its corners. Can you see it's already starting to take shape? Now we do the same on the other side. The final result should be a triangle, such as this one. Then we take one of the corners inwards and repeat the process on the other side until we form a rhombus. Now we turn it around, and with the point of the triangle pointing towards us, we do a little fold upwards so that a little tip sticks out. We then fold that little tip to the other side. You need to press it very well and always carefully. At last, we press with our finger and fold inwards, making sure we do it carefully as to not tear out our paper. And there it is! We now have our first origami figure, a nice butterfly. Isn't it super cute? Okay, now that we know the basics, let's take things up a notch. We're now going to build a frog that can actually jump. For this one, we'll need half of a paper square. After cutting it, we fold the resultant rectangle in half. We open it and we fold one of its corners diagonally. We do the same thing on the other side and we'll end up forming a paper triangle like this one. We then open this side and fold the upper corner downwards and do the same on the other side. Now we open the paper and turn it around. We fold the 2 sides inwards so we end up having a square. We open it and turn it around again. The following step is a bit tricky to tackle, so pay attention. With our fingers, we fold these flaps inwards until we form a small triangle, and we repeat the same step on the other side. Do it carefully and without rushing. Now we turn the paper and fold one of the tips upwards. First one and then the other one. With the flap we have left, we fold inwards, like this. See? Now this tip goes to the opposite side and we repeat this process with the other flaps. Once we reach the edge, we fold inwards just like we did before. We turn the flaps back to their place and we'll end up with this shape below. How cool! Okay, now we take this corner and we fold it upwards and do the same thing on the other side. If you turn it around, it looks like an airplane. Now we fold this tip towards the center, pressing well. We suggest that you mark your flaps well so that folding is easier later. Now we keep folding inwards, first one side, then the other, and we'll end up with these protruding tips. We fold half of those tips pressing well, and if we turn it around, we can see how cool it's turning out. Now we're at the most difficult step, TikTakers. We need to carefully grab this part and fold it a little bit more than half, carefully but pressing strongly. Now we fold backwards, pressing with more strength, and we'll end up with something like this. Now we just need to turn it around, and ta-da! We now have our little frog! Let's see if we followed correctly all the steps. Let's see if we press here. Whoa, our frog can really jump! That's awesome! Look at how many butterflies and frogs we built, TikTakers! We had a very fun time doing origami. What about you? Have you tried it yourselves? Remember to share with us your final results in our social media accounts. We'd love to see your origami figures. And if you want a second part, or you want us to do more arts and craft projects, let us know in the comments. Whee! If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it. And if you want to see more Draw My Life videos, subscribe to our channel. See you in the next episode!